something crazy has happened in the crypto sector, and we're all probably sick of that. But when it comes to Bitcoin, the biggest cryptocurrency ever, arguably the biggest Bitcoin miner, has gone bankrupt. And not only is their self-hosted mining division huge, like the own devices they have mining Bitcoin, they've liquidated thousands of Bitcoin to try to divert from this destiny, this path that they put themselves on, which we're going to break down exactly why and what happened. But they're also one of the biggest miner colocation hosting services. What that means is that so many people that host with them are severely impacted. I've toured 2 of their mining facilities. So let me just walk you through their Dalton, Georgia facility so you get a scope of what we are dealing with. CORZ Scientific, infrastructure to power the world's new financial system. They're nice, fine, fancy, simple branding. They use blue like every company that wants to be major. Traded publicly at CORZ. You ever heard of a SPAC? Hasn't gone too well with a crypto association. They've filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but they plan to keep mining, and it's going to be very interesting to watch this case unfold. The stock is down 98% this year. This is an example of what one of their facilities look like. Here's me in that facility. That's the Marble, North Carolina facility, which they have correct there. When I was there, miners weren't full to the ceiling, but they filled that up. Millions of dollars invested to billions of dollars to now potentially nothing, trading at 0 point something, like billion to zero, right? So CORZ market cap for their CORZ stock has fallen to $78 million at the end of trading this week, down from $4.3 billion valuation in July 2021 when they went through a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition vehicle. The stock has fallen more than 98% in the last year, but they boast that they're still generating positive cash flow, but that cash is not sufficient to repay the financing debt owed on the equipment it was leasing. They illustrate the holders of its common stock could suffer a total loss, but it may not be the case as the overall industry recovers. Like we've seen in many things, if the cryptocurrency bear market continues, a lot of different people and companies are in for a bad time. But they're reaching out for a restructuring agreement with lenders, but not all of their lenders are doing all that great. Looking at their notes payable and taking some data that was already crunched by Simon, CORZ Scientific has $1.07 billion in secured debt outstanding as of June 2022. So its assets will likely belong to those creditors. For example, a Genesis loan. Genesis owes Gemini $1 billion that they're still working through their liquidity crisis on. Then there's BlockFi, who has gone bankrupt. They're still working through their whole fiasco, but they're not doing good. It's not looking good, and that's not $60,000. That's $60 million. But it gets even messier. The secured convertible notes are related to Celsius Network and Apollo Global, meaning they're secured creditors while the others are just collateralized loans, which JK says, and I don't think he's kidding here, gets very interesting in Chapter 11. But that data is from October. Now we've got real-time data months later. There are some interesting claims on here. For example, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol We have a disputed claim here for customs fees. I mean, what a crazy customs bill, right? Then talk about someone who is going to be very cautious working with mining farms moving forward. Maybe not, right? I remember them talking specifically about their Dalton utilities and how they had a good relationship with them. And this footage from the Dalton facility was actually as they were building out new substations for them, because they were expanding and pulling more and more megawatts. Then you've got Duke Energy down there, another one of their energy providers, disputing over $2 million of taxes up here with Kentucky, which would be their third mining facility. There are a lot of creditors on here for a lot of money. However, I know I touched on BlockFi for a good portion. BlockFi doesn't come up in this document. We think that BlockFi is not on the list though, because they would be considered a secured creditor as opposed to a unsecured creditor. Bankruptcies are not fun. When it comes to these electric company numbers especially, it kind of makes you wonder, how much electricity have they been consuming per month? Like, is this one monthly bill? Right? I don't think so. But I don't know. I mean, these guys have not hundreds, not thousands, tens of thousands, like hundreds of thousands of mining rigs, especially Bitcoin. If they shut down, this is going to have such a massive impact on the Bitcoin mining difficulty, right? If we look at the last month, which includes the bankruptcy filing, network hash rate peaked at 300, and now we're down, 238. We're seeing a variance here of like 10-15% in the hash rate, but keep in mind this kind of fluctuation isn't all too different or difficult, and the longer we exist in a bear market and basically times are tough, the hash rate should continue to trend downwards, because there are newer Bitcoin miners that are a little bit more efficient, but people are expanding more slowly, more cautiously, and a lot of people are going belly up, especially major Bitcoin mining farms like Iris Energy. They unplugged about 72% of its computing power that was tied to 100 million of loans that it defaulted on. Argo's blockchain deal to sell 27 million of equity to fund operations. Greenidge Generation Gree on Tuesday announced a debt restructuring deal with its lender, NY Dig. CORZ Scientific was running 243,000 machines in its facilities at the end of October, split between 14.4 exahash of Bitcoin self-mining hash rate and 10 exahash of hosted machines. So 25% exahash, 10% of the global hash rate. When we look at the charts, that's more or less true. It's true enough. So 10% of the global Bitcoin mining hash rate just went bankrupt. BlockFi has gone bankrupt as well. And now they're a bankrupt company that's seeking their money from another bankrupt company. And CORZ is literally saying, we're not going to pay you, sue us. We've gone bankrupt, right? And Celsius network creditors are also looking to try to recoup a percentage of their funds. It is just crazy how deep this FTX contagion runs, more or less, because there's a couple different ways to look at it. FTX brought down the market, or it didn't, or it's hurting it from recovering more, and the fact that companies that would possibly be more flexible may not be able to be, because they've since gone bankrupt due to relationships, bailouts, failed things, whatever, all in relation to FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm not blaming him for this or anything like that, but my God, is this stuff just getting messy. It's like last bear market in 2018, people in crypto, myself, we got like almost a little bored. This bear market, we just sift through bankruptcy here, bankruptcy there, bankruptcy everywhere. And so let's kind of take a walk through memory lane before we dig a little further. So I already showed you the Dalton facility when I toured it a few years ago, CORZ Scientific. And I also toured their Marble, North Carolina facility, which comprised of in-warehouse mining as well as shipping container mining. And as we walk through this, come on, man, walk with me, right? We're walking through, there's so many miners, and their electricity rate, it was good, but it wasn't outstanding. And they were trying to ink deals with major players in relationship to, like Bitmain and those very close to them. What I noticed as they were building out is they were focused on rapidly scaling. They sought huge USD investment, right? And build, become huge. Born primarily out of a hosting service, CORZ Scientific built a colocation service. You're a big player, right? You got hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars and you want to buy miners and you want them to host them and take care of them, right? They got you. That was the business. But as they grew, they diversified and they're like, well, we got all this stuff. Why don't we also mine ourselves? So 2 divisions were born. Their self-mining division and then their hosting division. When I had toured these facilities, they were focused primarily simply on hosting, but not enough that they would host your boy's miner. I was too small of a fish, which further pushed me on my journey to build on my own, hopefully medium size. That's the goal, really. Bitcoin mining farm, which I'm still actively working on because it's an incredibly long endeavor, especially by primarily yourself. We have an incredible team, and Alexa and Tails, our beautiful pup, are awesome. But I spearhead the mining part, and it's just a lot of things to do. But anyway, not really the point. Just a quick aside, if you will. But like here's like me stepping into the shipping container. And I mean, it was interesting. This stuff, like, it probably looks cool on video, but in person, it's actually overwhelming to be on a major mining farm like this. You realize how big the scope is, how much electricity, how much juice is running throughout. I mean, we're not consuming watts, dude. We're consuming megawatts. Okay, that's a lot. What does that translate to? Here's some visuals of things that 1 megawatt or a couple megawatts can power. Right? It's insane. We're not talking a house. We're not talking a street. We're talking cities. They had bought a couple ant boxes and they realized that they could do it better themselves. And they had started building their own shipping containers or had someone contracted to do that. Right? They mined in the facility that used to be a textile factory, I believe.
Outside, but even when it's really hot outside, this is cold air because it's that air that's coming that runs under the building.
It was a very just smart decision to take that, depending on what they got it for, but it seemed like the right move. I mean, it was pretty cool reuse of infrastructure there. But then they were building what they called the church, and that is what is commonly shown as a picture because it's a more unique design. They didn't want us showing it from the outside or even talking about its design too much in detail. They brought on thermo engineers. Okay, like, this isn't just put together, hope it works. They brought on professionals, which isn't cheap, to design these things. And the CORZ Scientific Church was very interesting, and I'm sure very expensive. I've been astonished how expensive it is to build anything, let alone something that massive and custom. But my point here really being is they were focused on rapid expansion. And you're probably still like wondering, where exactly did it go wrong?
A year's salary right here. What I call them? Fun coupons. See that?
When you look at the stock price, this is before they were traded. This is when they began trading. So like, to put this into perspective, you would basically only have 2 weeks to ever make like 25 to 40% on this stock if you were holding it. If you shorted it, well, you were in for a good time. If you longed it, hello, liquidation. This stock performed absolutely terrible. Looking at the VoskCoin band, we can see that it continued to trend downward because they didn't sponsor the VoskCoin YouTube channel, which you better subscribe to. I don't know. It was a shameless plug. It was trying to, I don't know. I was trying to go for a joke there, talk about my own custom technical analysis. You know what? I get it. I look like a freaking idiot and it came off wrong. We're moving on. So stop laughing at me and hating on me in the comments. Okay? Because we're moving on. I don't know, man. I'm going crazy. Just whatever. I'd say ignore me, but I can't have that because we're focused on a video and a topic here. Now I'm getting off topic and I'm ranting, and it's like, dude, stop. Fine. I'm stopping. 13 cents. That's how much CORZ, the CORZ Scientific stock, is trading for. it just trended down. I mean, look at this. A 52-week high of $11.64, a 52-week low of 5 cents. Crazy. Looking at the earnings, they were just never really that great. And even though they did decent on a couple quarters for earnings, instead of reining things in and being a bit conservative, I think they became over leveraged. They became reckless. Also, here is just, don't feel too bad for CORZ Scientific, because it seems like their higher ups were just having a blast, getting super enriched once they went public. Because just listen, look at this data. Listen to this. CORZ Scientific spent more money than any other US company on private executive jet flights. They beat out Meta, which is Facebook, which is notorious for basically just burning money like crazy, and they're huge, absolutely huge in comparison. CORZ spent $1.8 million in reimbursements for private jets on business trips. Meta, at second place, spent $1.6 million. CORZ Scientific, per the Robinhood data, has 205 employees. Meta has 72,000 per Robinhood data. This is the latest scoop, breaking news, and all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot to unpack, but, I'm in a unique position where I've been to many of their facilities. I've met people on their team, and it's just, it's unfortunate news. Somewhere along the way, things went terribly wrong, and this isn't just bad luck. This trends more towards just recklessness and negligence. So, hey, my name is Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. You like this video, subscribe. If you didn't subscribe, anyway. See you on the next one.